everyone, this is Lucas Ross Sports, Lucas Ross your commentator. We continue our 2022 college football predictions. The Missouri Tigers are up next. I'll give you my thoughts on this team, give my official prediction for this team, and also go through their schedule, and I will go from there. But before we do that, let's look back at 2021 for this Missouri team. Looking back at 2021 for the Missouri Tigers, they went 6-7 overall. It wasn't a terrible season, but they just have something to build on for this season coming up. I thought Missouri would be better than last year, but that's how their record just came out to be. Offensively and defensively in the rankings last year, they were 61st on offense and then 113th on defense. So the defense has a lot to improve. They were pretty much almost one of the worst defenses in the SEC last year. I think they will be a little bit better than they were last year, a little bit. It just depends on what the offense can do. Points per game, 29.1 points on the offensive side of the ball. And then defensively, they gave up 33.8 points on the defensive side of the ball. So my thoughts on this Missouri team, I think it's going to be an up and down season. I mean, the offense has a lot of question marks. They lost a ton of production on that side of the ball. Defensively, they should be really good. I think quite a bit good, better than last year. So Missouri overall, you know, they really don't have a lot of production coming back, but let's see what the schedule will look like here for 2022. And here is that schedule for Missouri for the upcoming season. They face Louisiana Tech to begin the season, and that should be an easy win there for Missouri. Shouldn't be a problem there. They should take care of business in this game, so no really big problem there to begin the season. And I got them starting out 1-0. And then there's that game on the road at Kansas State on September the 10th. Now, I do regret my prediction with Kansas State. I really do, but I'm just not really high on this team. And if you saw my Kansas State video back then, I know I did predict Missouri to win. Why? Because I like Missouri's chances. I like them in this game, and it's one of those, you know, upset alert type games if Kansas State was to have, you know, a top 25 showdown or something like that. But I don't think any of these teams will be ranked. But, you know, I think Missouri, they will go on the road, and I think they do defeat Kansas State. I think Missouri's defense is going to step up in this one, and I think they do get the win there on the road at Kansas State. I like Missouri better in this one as well. I know this is a veteran Kansas State team, but I just like I like Missouri in this game. I like Missouri's defense as well, so I'm going to go ahead and pick the Tigers to win that one. Then they take care of business against Albany Christian here on September 17th. Then they face Auburn here on the road on September 24th. So a tough draw there out of the West. Auburn obviously is going to be a good team this year. Not an up and down team probably, but I think Auburn has a lot of question marks on that side of the ball, you know, especially on the quarterback position. But this one being on the road, I really don't see Missouri going to Jordan-Hare Stadium and, you know, pulling off a big upset if Auburn was ranked in the top 25. I really don't see that happening. And I think they give Missouri their first loss of the season. So I think Missouri, they start out 3-0, then they lose to Auburn here on the road. I mean, it's going to be a tough place to play. Let's be honest, it will be a tough place to play. But I think Missouri does lose their first game of the season. They get to the month of October now, and they face Georgia here on October 1st. Georgia obviously their defense has a lot of question marks. I think Missouri can maybe hang around in the first quarter, but Georgia is Georgia. I think Stetson Bennett will have a big game in this one. I know it's a home game for Missouri, but Georgia is still going to be talented enough to able to win this one. Georgia has really got a lot of talent on that side of the ball in the offense, and I think they will score a lot of points in this game. Missouri's defense has to step up, but I think if they do, I mean, it could be a somewhat close game. But I'm not seeing Missouri defeat Georgia in this game at all. I really don't see them, you know, being with a big upset here. Next game is on the road at Florida. Florida's a team that I'm really, you know, has a lot of question marks as well. Not really high on them, but I still have them going to a bowl game this year. Florida does have the depth, you know, to compete in this game as well. I mean, I think Missouri does compete in this game the whole way. But it just depends on if the offense can score some points. I mean, that Missouri offense is going to be really young this time of the year. I think they're starting to get better a little bit, but I think it won't be enough. I think it's one of those maybe a 50-50 type games, but I think Missouri will lose on the road at Florida, and that goes to their record at 3-3. So tough 3 losses there. You know, that's a tough stretch in the month of October. They have to play Georgia and then Florida, back to back. So I mean, that's pretty tough. And you got Auburn in September, so that's really tough as well. They face Vanderbilt here. They get a bye week before playing this game, and that's really good news there for Missouri. So I think they do win this one. Vanderbilt is a team that I'm not really high on this year. A lot of people are saying that they're probably going to be the worst team in the SEC, possibly again. You never know, though. I mean, this is one of those games I think can come down to the wire. I think Vanderbilt has what it takes to maybe defeat Missouri. I think Missouri is just much better than Vanderbilt. They have more talent than Vanderbilt as well. And I think that bye week does help them out after going on a brutal stretch to face Auburn on the road, and then Georgia at home, and then Florida on the road as well. So I think they do get a win here finally at home against Vanderbilt. Next game is on the road at South Carolina. This is going to be a tough game here for Missouri. I think it will be a close game, though, in the first half. Second half, I think it's going to be all South Carolina. I think it's one of those 50-50 games, but I'm just saying I think South Carolina is about maybe a 60% favorite in this game. I think Missouri is a little bit of an underdog in this one because with it being on the road, I could see it being a 50-50 game, though, maybe by this time. And with the 50-50 games, though, you got to go with the home field advantage, and I think it's going to be South Carolina that does defeat Missouri here, and that makes Missouri 4-4 now as you head into the month of November. The November schedule is kind of tough. Let's be honest. They play Kentucky here at home on November 5th. Kentucky is going to be a really good team this year, really good, solid team. They might be the third best team maybe out of the East this year, maybe second best behind Georgia or something like that. This game right here, I think it will be close. I think Missouri does compete in this game, but you look at the last few matchups that Missouri and Kentucky have played, and all of them have been pretty close. Missouri's been really close to beating Kentucky over the years, but I think Kentucky is pretty much the better team in this one, and I think Kentucky does defeat Missouri here at home. I would say this is a winnable game, though, for Missouri. If they can win this game, that is good sign there. I mean, if they beat Kentucky, they could probably go to a bowl game by that time, but it won't be enough. I think Kentucky is just a better team than Missouri, and I think Will Levis and Chris Rodriguez are both going to be a really explosive duo this year down at Kentucky. Next game is on the road at Tennessee. We know about last year's game. Tennessee knocked Missouri out. I mean, really knocked their defense out cold and stuff in this game. Tennessee's offense will be really explosive again with Hendon Hooker back at quarterback, and I'd say that Tennessee does win this one pretty easily. I don't really see Missouri going on the road and defeating Tennessee here. I don't see that happening at all. Tennessee is going to be a really good team this year, and I think they have a lot of playmakers on that offensive side of the ball. The defense will be a question, but I think, I really don't see this game being all that close. I feel like it's going to be like last year's game a little bit. It just depends if the defense gets better for Missouri, and I think it will be, but I think it won't be enough to defeat Tennessee on the road. And then they face New Mexico State. That game is taking care of business on November 19th. That is an easy win there for Missouri. And then they face Arkansas to end things out here. So you got a 5-6 record. You need one more win to be bowling in this game. Arkansas, though, is a team that I'm really high on. And like I said, I think Arkansas is the better team in this one. I really do think they are the better team. And Arkansas, I think, does come away with the win. I think, it's one of those 50-50 games. But I think Arkansas is just much better. You look at Arkansas, they have turned things around. And also, Missouri has, not really turned it around that much. I mean, it's going to take time for Missouri to turn things around. And the overall prediction I have for Missouri for 2022 is 5-7. I think, this schedule is pretty tough. Let's face it, Auburn on the road, Florida on the road, South Carolina on the road, and Tennessee on the road. And you have to play Georgia as well. I mean, that you have to play Auburn out of the West this year, and that's pretty tough. And then, of course, you play Arkansas. They play Arkansas every single year. But 5-7 is I think 4-8 is also possible, though, because of that Kansas State game. This might not be a good year for Missouri. I think Eli Drinkwitz probably will be, facing maybe the hot seat maybe next year, or maybe like that. But 5-7 is my overall prediction. Stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports, and also for more predictions next week. Stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports.